All right, so we've got a lot of new gun owners in our community now. To them, I'd like to say welcome. Um, and what took you so long? These are trying times right now, so I understand why a lot of people feel the need to own a firearm. As far as those people who didn't feel the need before, now is now is definitely the time. Actually, 6 months ago was the time because it's a little more difficult to get a firearm now. But I wanted to do a little video because I recently took a new time gun purchaser to buy his first firearm, and um, there were little things that, being a little more educated in guns, I kind of expect people to know, but then realize, well, they're not educated on it. So if you're a first time gun owner, or you're wanting to purchase a gun, first thing you need to know, you have to have a clean background. If you have any felonies or domestic violence, in some states certain misdemeanors, you will be disqualified. Everybody gets a background check. When you go to an FFL to buy a firearm, you have to pass a background check. The only time that you don't have to go through a background check is if it's a private person-to-person sale, such as me as a private individual. If I decide to sell a firearm to my roommate, he doesn't have to go through an FFL, doesn't have to have a background check. I don't recommend those kinds of sales. If you do those kinds of sales, be very familiar with the person that you're selling it to. Preferably make sure that they have a concealed carry permit, because that is the exact same background check that they do when you purchase from an FFL. And an FFL is a federal firearms license. That's the person who is authorized to sell the firearms. Basically, the guy at the gun store. Some other things you need to know: you have to have your paperwork in order. When you are filling out your background check and you have to put your address, your driver's license has to match that address. Now, if it doesn't, you will be rejected unless you have a piece of mail from the federal government with your address on it, such as something from the IRS. It can't be something from the state. It has to be from the federal government. It can't be a utility bill. Can't be something that you mailed to yourself. It has to be from the federal government. All right, so you've got your paperwork in order. You know you're not a felon. You're confident that you can legally purchase your firearm. Now you need to pick one out. Now, for new gun owners, I recommend 9mm. 9mm is fairly easy to shoot. The firearms themselves are easy to manipulate. I happen to have a 9mm here. This is safety checked. Okay, this is the Taurus TH9C, very good concealed carry weapon. Let's go ahead and decock that. This does have an external safety. By pushing up on that, that is safety engaged. The trigger cannot be pulled. You see a little bit of play there, but I cannot pull that trigger. Now, once I take the safety off, let's double check again. Decock it. Once I pull the trigger with the safety off, it can. And this may seem complex to you, but this is just safety on, safety off, safety on, safety off, decock, decock. You saw my finger there, but it wasn't actually on the trigger. Let's do that again. Decock. Safe to drop that. drop that hammer, even with the round in the chamber. If you're using the decocker, you don't want to do like with your Colt where you, or your M1911, where you squeeze the trigger and slowly release the hammer. That does not make it drop safe. You want to use your decocker. Okay, so pick yourself out a 9mm. There's lots of good ones out there. Glock 19 is a good one. The Smith & Wesson SD9 is a really good budget-friendly beginner's 9mm. This is the SD40. The SD9 looks exactly like it. Now, when you're picking out the firearm that you want to purchase, things you want to look for, grab a hold of it. Does it fit your hand properly? Does it feel comfortable in your hand? The SD series, very, very ergonomic. Feels really good in the hand. The controls are conveniently placed. And this is a simple design. This is basically a Glock 19 budget. It's designed exactly the same, down to takedown. So much that Glock sued Smith & Wesson and won. So they have to pay royalties for each SDVE that they sell. Very basic. Striker fire. The only thing you need to make sure you can manipulate is that slide. You know, once you find one that you like the grip, you want to make sure that anybody who's going to be operating the firearm can manipulate that slide. If they're struggling with it, you might want to look into something like the Smith & Wesson Shield Easy, I think it is. It's got a lighter spring or something that makes it easier to operate the slide. Anyways, those are things that you want to make sure you check. Now, another thing that I noticed my roommate was struggling with, and it seems kind of, I don't know, I've been loading magazines for a very, very long time. I don't use easy loaders. My roommate was struggling with trying to load ammo. And let me give you a little demonstration here. This is a loaded magazine. To unload this, you simply push back, or sorry, let's start over. Take your thumb, put it up against the back side, and you can do this one-handed. Just pop it right out. Apply a little bit of pressure, push forward, pops right out. Now, where my roommate was struggling is actually loading. Now, this is going to require some finger dexterity and a little bit of finger muscle. You want to basically see this first little slide or little section right here. You want to get your thumb as far up there as possible, and you're going to push down on that a little. See how that's compressing that a little, and you're going to take your next bullet, and you're going to get your fingers as far towards the back there as you can. You're going to push down, and preferably you're going to have this up against something like your leg, or something to brace it. I'm going to put my leg up here so you can kind of see. You want something to brace that base plate. Push down, and that one gave me a little bit of trouble because I've never done it this way. That was an awkward position for me to be in. But basically, you just, push down and back. Once again, compress that spring a little. Put the rim of the cartridge up against that thumb while pushing down, and you push down and back. It takes a little bit. New gunners are going to struggle with it, but in your spare time, just unload and load magazines. You'll get the hang of it. Okay, next, By the way, if you haven't taken a firearms course, or you have absolutely no knowledge about firearms at all, I recommend that you either go back and watch my firearms safety and conditions of carry video, or get with somebody who knows a little bit about firearms and can teach you proper safety. And if you don't know anybody, ask. Um, most gun owners would love to help educate a new gun enthusiast. If you're in my area and you want some free training, I'd be more than happy to give you my education and share my experiences and what little knowledge I have. Okay, so this is an unloaded firearm. This is a loaded magazine. When you want to load it, you're going to take your magazine, you're going to push it in, and you're going to, whoops, let's get that camera situated there. And let's do that again. You're going to take your magazine, you're going to force that, you want to always give it a tap. You don't want to just push that in. This is pretty good, it doesn't take much to get that in there, but you always want to give it a good tap to make sure. Now, this gun still can't fire. Even though it's got a magazine in there, it can't fire because you have to get a round from the magazine into the chamber, and that's where racking the slide comes in. Now, this is ready to fire. Safety's on. I'm not, of course, going to fire. We're not going to do a desk pop here. Now, if you need to unload this firearm, so what you're going to do is you're going to take your safety off. You're going to eject the magazine. This gun can still fire. Even though the magazine is not in here, this gun can still fire because there is one in the chamber. Now, we're going to take our palm. We're going to put it up against the back. We're going to firmly grasp it here, keeping the finger off the trigger. We pull it back. We let it close. We visually inspect that we have the bullet. Then, once again, palm. We lock the slide. And if you don't know how to lock your slide back, there's two ways. Empty magazine in the chamber, pull it back, it'll automatically, if your firearm has that feature, it will stay back. Most firearms do. If not, you have your slide release, slide lock here. You're going to push up on that while pulling all the way back. I don't know if I can do this on cam, but we're going to pull back and up. See how I just pushed up on that a little? And then you can either use the slide release to release the slide like so, and we will decock that also. Or the other thing you can do is simply pull back. Let's decock that again. And the reason I recommend 9mm, this slide is really easy to manipulate. Even slingshot, I recommend over and release. I always recommend that. 9mm you can slingshot. I don't recommend slingshot. You're using a small amount of finger dexterity to do a manipulation. I recommend training. Always get a firm grip on that and pull back. And the reason why is because if you go from 9mm to something like 40 caliber, that slide is or that spring, your guide rod spring, is much heavier because it's a heavier round that it has to push. So this is going to be a little bit harder to do the slingshot method on, especially with, say, the SIG P229. This has got a really heavy spring in it. I can see I cannot do a slingshot with that. I have to do the overhand. And since I just did that, I want to inspect that I do not have a round in the chamber, and close it up and decock. This gun is, I don't recommend this for a first time gun owner. It's got a very girthy grip on it. It's I don't want to say it's not very ergonomical, but it's made for somebody with larger hands. This is kind of uncomfortable to me. I mean, in comparison to the SD, this feels really good in my hand. Really small, ergonomical grip. I can get to all the controls really easily. The SIG P229, a little bit big for my hand. This is my everyday carry, though. I'm most comfortable with this because this is the one I shoot the best. Some other things you need to know. Let's see. Another thing, when you're purchasing your firearm, you want to ask the salesperson how easy it is to take down and clean. Your Glock models, your Glock takedown, these are kind of a pain in the ass to take down. You have to manipulate the firearm like this, pull back a 1/4 inch, and you have to be able to pull down on both of those takedown levers at the same time. See, this one's really difficult. I still don't think I got it. Nope. Let's do the takedown on the Taurus TH9. While it still has the Glock takedown levers, it's a lot easier. Safety's off. We're gonna inspect that chamber. We're good. Same way. We pull back about a 1/4 inch, pull down on both the takedown levers, and the slide comes right off. And from there, you can take out your guide rod spring, and your barrel. Do all your cleaning from there. But takedown on Glock style is much more difficult than, say, the SIG style takedown. SIG style takedown. Once again, we're going to check our chamber. Chamber is empty. We're going to lock our slide back. We're going to take this lever. This is your takedown lever. Same on the SIG P320. We're going to rotate that lever. It's hard to do on cam because I cannot see what the hell I'm doing. I'm being a dork. On these, you have to... No, I had it right the first time. Having a brain fart here. Okay. We want to rotate. Yep, there we go. Rotate that takedown lever 90 degrees. Then we grab our slide and it comes right off, just like that. To put it back together, you line up with your rails. Lock that slide back. Push your takedown lever back up. And back in business. And there goes my camera again. And we decock the firearm. Anyways, those are some basics. Once again, if you're a new firearms owner, welcome to the community. If you have any questions, feel free to ask any of us. We are always more than happy to help out a new shooter. And there's billions of videos on getting more education. Anyways, once again, welcome to the community, and thanks for watching. Please give us a like and subscribe.